Welcome back to my Daihatsu Fourtrak restoration series. Previously, you saw me finalising some metal work and body repairs on the wings and rear quarter of the Fourtrak. In today's episode, I'll be getting to grips with the last of the rust on the bonnet before finally respraying this old Daihatsu in a fresh coat of B23 metallic teal. Before I get started with the rust repairs on the bonnet, I'm going to put the car in epoxy primer just to make sure it's ready for its high build, which I'll do shortly, but that'll be off camera. Let's deal with the rust repairs first in this video and then we'll come back to the paint stage. Okay, so that is that little bit of rust repair done. I've cut out the old rusty metal, both on the outside skin and the inside, replaced with fresh new stuff. So that's solid, it's not going to rust again. Now, obviously it does need a skim of filler, as always with bodywork such as this. But before I do that, I'm going to crack on and sort this other little spot of rust out, which I won't film because it's exactly the same process, but I need to sort that out. The other thing I want to mention is once those are done, I can think about getting the bonnet ready for its primer. But if you have a look here above where I've been repairing, obviously the heat from the welding stuff has started to lift this top layer of paint. This bonnet has had a respray in the past. I knew that. It wasn't in great condition. It wasn't a great finish anyway. But given what this has revealed underneath, I think the best thing for me to do is to just bare metal this whole bonnet before epoxy priming it. Now naturally I was going to have to epoxy these repairs anyway, so it makes sense to just bare metal the whole thing, put the epoxy on, any bits of filler that needed, then the high build, etc, etc, and carry on like that. That's the best chance of me getting a perfect finish on this bonnet. Now that does mean this delightfully 90s sticker on the front of the bonnet's going to have to go, but A, I couldn't save it if I wanted to, and B, it's always been one of those things I've been looking forward to getting rid of ever since I first bought this truck. It's just not for me at all. Anyway, I'm going to sort out this other repair, and then I'm going to bare metal the bonnet before epoxy primer, so I'll catch you on that bit. Okay, so that's the next stage done. The bonnet has been taken down. It's now pretty much ready for epoxy primer. So, elephant in the room. Yes, this bonnet did used to be red. I know some of you will have noticed that earlier when I flipped the bonnet over. Obviously, I didn't know that when I first bought the truck many months ago. It's not the end of the world. Yes, it's not the original bonnet to the car, but I can't see any evidence of damage to the structure of the vehicle itself, the inner wings, etc., the front of the vehicle. So I think it was probably just changed at some point in this car's life, probably for a big dent on the bonnet or a scratch or something. Anyway, it appears this bonnet has been resprayed twice. So it was this sort of maroon red colour, then it's been in the Riviera B23 colour, and then again on top of that it's been primed and B23 on top of that again, seemingly. As I've said before, taking old paint back is a bit like archaeology. You find these things out. Anyway, it's not a problem. I'm still going to stick with this bonnet. It's fine. There's no major flaws with it that make me want to change it. So the fact it's not original to that car, really not a big deal. Now, the other thing is I did say I'm going to bare metal this whole bonnet. Now, I've gone back as far as I need to in the places where that paint was the worst. So I said it's been repainted twice. There's 3 coats of paint plus the primers and things on here. I've taken it back everywhere it needs to be taken back. The big flat sections are actually not too bad at all. I've been over the whole thing with the sander anyway, obviously, and I will do that again before putting epoxy primer down. But basically, I'm not going to go to a sheer bare metal all over the whole thing because I just don't need to. So that explains why I've done what I've done here, and it brings us up to speed. So the next thing you're going to see me do is clean this thing up and lay down some epoxy primer, and then when that's dried and everything's correct and as should be, I'll go and do the small bits of filler on these 2 repairs on the front of the bonnet that I had to do to get rid of the rust. Once that's done, we're looking at high build and then flattening back, and then basically that will take us to the stage where everything is in primer, and I think I'm right in saying I'm going to be ready to lay down some colour at that point. So a little bit of talking to explain where we are and what's going to happen next, but hopefully that brings you up to speed. Okay, so that is the bonnet now done. It's had its epoxy, it's had its filler, and it's now in high build. There's a little bit more refinement to be done, but ultimately it's looking pretty good. So that means all of the external bits, so the bonnet, the wings, etc., everything is now in high build. It all needs a little bit more refinement, but essentially we're nearly ready for colour. So everything needs to be block flatted, including the truck itself, and then I'm going to lay down some colour. Now, it may not be too easy to film too much while I'm doing the colour coat and the clear, because obviously I need to concentrate and make sure that's all going on right, but I'll do my best to get some footage, and then I'll join you again in a minute and show you how the truck has turned out. So stay tuned and I will bring you up to speed shortly. Okay guys, as predicted, I didn't get a huge amount of footage while I was actually doing this paint job, basically because I wanted to concentrate on getting it right. But I'm so pleased with how this has turned out. Obviously you can see the truck itself is now in clear, and also the parts we discussed before. So we've got the ancillary bits from the front, we've got the bonnet, we've got the wings, and we've got the tailgate. Now, every time I do any paint work in here, I do explain this is a lot less than ideal conditions for spraying in, but generally I make up for that with a good old flat and polish at the end, and this truck will of course get that treatment. But I've got to say, at the moment, from a gun finish, I'm so pleased with the finish on this truck, and also the shade of the B23. You never truly know how well a colour is going to go in until you spray it, and it was the same with this one. But I'm so pleased with the shade I've got. It's exactly the right tone of sort of a teal turquoise that I was expecting, so the proper Riviera colour. Now you may look at this, you've seen some of this footage and wonder, everything looks great up here, but at this level it looks a little bit wavy and wobbly. That's because I didn't go to town really doing surface prep on these bits, because they are going to be hidden by the body kit, of course. From this swage line up is visible, from this line down is not visible. So that's why they haven't been ultra prepped either on the truck or over here on these wings. I said before when I did the repairs here, the welding repairs, I'm not going to go mad making the surface exactly perfect. As long as it's completely rust free and solid is all I wanted. Again, from this line upwards is all you'll see. So that is why, if you've caught a bit of a wave on the camera, that's why, because this bit won't be seen again. But really, the bits you are going to see, as I say, these have not been flatted and polished yet. This is a purely gun finish in, as I say, for the 100th time, less than ideal conditions for spraying. So I'm very pleased. Really, that does bring us up to speed with this phase. I'm absolutely over the moon to have this thing in colour now, because as you all know, if you've been following this series, every time I've touched this truck to date, everything I've done has revealed another issue, a previous bodge or more rust or hidden damage, or something that I had to then work harder on, do more labour to fix. And every stage that has happened, I've been telling myself, you know, if I could just be at the point where I'm painting this thing, I'll know that I'm over the worst of it. And it's felt like it's such a long way away at every stage. It's just felt like I'm not going to be painting this thing anytime soon, because I kept running into various issues and hidden faults and things. But to now have this thing in colour really does feel like a huge milestone for the project, and I'm just absolutely chuffed. So I hope you've enjoyed watching it get to this stage. If you have enjoyed it and you want to see more, make sure you're subscribed if you're not already. If you are subscribed, make sure you've got your notifications turned on. You will of course get a notification when the next episode goes live, and that'll be when I'm going to be reassembling the truck, I think, putting all these bits back on. When it's looking a little bit more complete, I can then start on the interior, and as I mentioned, I'm going to be doing some custom touches to this interior to make it a little bit more modern, a little bit more usable, and just a nicer place to be. But anyway, that's all in an upcoming video. So as always, thank you ever so much for watching, and I will of course catch you on the next one. Cheers.